Former OpenAI CTO Mira Murati has officially announced her new company, Thinking Machines. Here's everything we know so far about it, which, frankly, isn't much. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. OpenAI has had a lot of talent departures over the last year and a half or so. In some cases, it's felt like a protest on how the direction of the company was going, and indeed has explicitly been shared as such. In others, it's about people making a boatload of money and just wanting to do something different for a while. And then still in others, it's about building something new outside of the constraints of that company. And among that set, one of the most closely watched people has been former CTO Mira Murati. For months now, there have been rumors around what she's building, mostly fueled by departures and recruitment from OpenAI and Anthropic to join Murati on some as yet unrevealed company. Now, however, that company has been officially announced. Yesterday, Mira tweeted, "I started Thinking Machines Labs alongside a remarkable team of scientists, engineers, and builders. We're building 3 things: helping people adapt AI systems to work for their specific needs, developing strong foundations to build more capable AI systems, fostering a culture of open science that helps the whole field understand and improve these systems. Our goal is simple: advance AI by making it broadly useful and understandable through solid foundations, open science, and practical applications." Alongside it, they published a website, thinkingmachines.ai. They write, "We're building a future where everyone has access to the knowledge and tools to make AI work for their unique needs and goals. While AI capabilities have advanced dramatically, key gaps remain. The scientific community's understanding of frontier AI systems lags behind rapidly advancing capabilities. Knowledge of how these systems are trained is concentrated within the top research labs, limiting both the public discourse on AI and people's abilities to use AI effectively. And despite their potential, these systems remain difficult for people to customize to their specific needs and values. To bridge the gaps, we're building Thinking Machine Labs to make AI systems more widely understood, customizable, and generally capable." Now, if you're sitting there thinking, boy, I have absolutely no idea what these folks are actually building, you, my friend, are not alone. Cosmic Chaos writes, "Good luck, but I'm still not sure what exactly you're building. Is it one product that does all 3 or separately? Is it a service or a product? And what's your roadmap?" William Wolf writes, "I'm rooting for Thinking Machines, but I wish projects like this had product, both engineering and design, in their founding philosophies. Otherwise, it kind of just feels like yet another group of world-class researchers vaguely gesticulating at the future. Where is the vision?" Swix pointed out what he called 2 notable omissions from the Thinking Machines manifesto. The website does not use the word reasoning or agent at all. So what are these folks building? I have absolutely no idea. It does feel a little bit like the type of text that may be, in retrospect, when we learn what they're building, like it'll make sense. Right now, I think vaguely gesticulating at the future is a pretty accurate way to describe it. At the end of the day, though, when it comes to things like potential for fundraising, the clarity of the description doesn't probably matter even a little bit. Currently, the 29 or so employees come from places like OpenAI, Meta, Character AI, and Google DeepMind. Verit Zoff, OpenAI's former VP of post-training research, is taking on the CTO role, with OpenAI co-founder John Schulman serving as chief scientist. And indeed, when it comes to people's interest in the company, it's best summed up by Andrej Karpathy, who writes, "Very strong team, a large fraction of whom were directly involved with and built the ChatGPT miracle." In other words, while this may be a situation where we don't have any idea what they're actually building, they're probably still worth paying attention to. Next up, on the other end of the startup journey, less than a year after launch, the Humane pin is officially dead and gone. Humane announced on Tuesday that their AI wearable startup has been acquired by HP. Customers have been given just 10 days' notice that servers would be shut down, rendering the expensive device useless. In the FAQ, Humane noted the device could still be used for offline features like checking the battery level. So there's something there, I guess. Now, of course, the Humane pin was a bold early attempt at creating a wearable AI assistant, but fell flat for a number of reasons, all of which have been endlessly discussed in retrospect. It was originally priced at $699, making it very inaccessible, really only for very high-end gizmo enthusiasts. Initial reviews were universally terrible, the absolute apex of which was Marques Brownlee calling it the worst product I've ever reviewed, a review which has been seen 8.5 million times. Updates also couldn't save the device. At one point last summer, Humane was processing more returns than they had sales. Humane even told customers to stop using the charging case due to battery fire concerns. As for the buyout, HP said they were acquiring the team in the company's AI operating system to help them create, quote, "intelligent ecosystem across all HP devices, from AI PCs to smart printers and connected conference rooms." Gonzalo Nunez writes, "The Humane founders having to go work for AI for OfficeJet printers at HP is the ultimate Sisyphusian punishment for the prototypical Steve Jobs LARPer founder. I cannot imagine anything more cruel." So is there anything to learn from the failure of Humane? Investor Justin Duke doesn't think so, writing, "I don't think we draw many interesting lessons from Humane. They feel like a relic from a younger, more Juicero-drenched era. Even when they were in stealth mode, there was an obvious perfume of vaporware about them." Basically, Duke is arguing that Humane was very much a creature of the 2019, 2020, 2021 era of VC when massive checks were flying around Silicon Valley at the very end of ZERP. Entrepreneur Chris Back writes, "Humane is the perfect cautionary tale of how talented people get completely distorted from reality by staying at large, successful companies for too long. Are you really a great product designer, or do you just work at Apple? Are you actually great at sales, or do you just work at Google? Are you really an incredible growth marketer, or do you just work at Instagram? After a certain size, the brands sell themselves. The only way to test your abilities is to leave the shelter of these mega brands and go out and build something yourself from scratch. And usually, throwing lots of money at the problem pre-launch isn't going to help you." Maybe a more pertinent question is what it means about the state of AI wearables in general. One thing that makes it complicated to determine is the disconnect between when it was launched and how capabilities have changed. The Humane Pin was released in April 2024, a few months before Google released the first version of AI search that suggested eating rocks and using glue as a pizza topping. Now, however, we're at a stage where leading AI models, even small ones designed for on-device use, are as good at coding as most junior programmers. Although exactly how good they are we'll get into in the main episode. Still, at this point, it's not clear that people actually want an AI assistant in a standalone device. Newsletter writer Jack Appleby thinks that there's a form factor problem. He writes, "The future of AI isn't new hardware, it's upgrading existing software." Control-Alt Dwayne writes, "The first AI hardware flop. I don't know a single person who bought a Humane AI pin, but this is brutal. This is exactly why AI hardware will only succeed when it's 100% local with no cloud or API dependencies." I don't know, man. I'm not so sure that the lessons are as clear as people think. People have loved to rip on Humane from the very beginning, and a lot of it is absolutely self-inflicted. The overly wrought marketing videos that felt like they were trying too hard to live in Steve Jobs' shadow, the price point, the amount of money raised. There were plenty of red flags for even someone who is trying to go in unbiased. It is going to be an extraordinary process of trial and error to figure out if and what sort of AI wearable experiences consumers are actually going to want. No one has a perfect crystal ball into that future, otherwise they'd be making a ton of money. I'm glad that there are experiments still happening. I would say that Humane is a great reminder that extraordinarily well-funded startups tend not to be the ones to invent these sort of new experiences. But at the same time, there are some indicators of AI wearables actually getting some traction. Best example of that may be the Ray-Ban Meta AI glasses, which are an extremely popular product. So who knows? All we know for sure is that Humane's part of the story is done for now, but I would be very surprised ultimately if that means the category of AI wearables is actually cooked. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. One new beginning, one ending. And next up, the main episode.